The forest was too quiet that morning, so quiet Sam Rivers felt it before he heard it. A silence thick enough to raise the hair on his arms, the kind that meant something was watching or waiting. Frost clung to every branch, glittering like scattered glass as he moved through the trees. Then came a sound, soft, broken, a whimper swallowed by the cold. Sam stopped mid-stride. Another cry followed, thin and desperate, cutting straight through the hush. He didn't know what he'd find out there. But whatever it wasn't alone. The cry came again, sharper this time, shivering through the pines like a thread pulled too tight. Sam swallowed hard, tasting cold metal in the air, the kind that always came before trouble. He stepped off the trail, boots sinking into untouched snow, each crunch echoing through the stillness. The forest felt alive around him, shifting, listening, holding its breath. Sunlight barely filtered through the canopy, turning the morning into a dull gray haze. Even the wind seemed to pull back, as if it didn't want to disturb whatever was unfolding ahead. Sam pressed forward, brushing heavy branches aside. Snow spilled onto his jacket, melting fast against the warmth of his breath. A faint rustle broke the quiet, a small shape scrambling, then a soft thud. His pulse jumped. He crouched low, eyes narrowing as he scanned the pale clearing beyond the trees. That's when he saw it. A patch of brown fur half buried in snow. A trembling shape no bigger than a backpack, its breath shallow and uneven. A cub, a bear cub, its tiny body curled tight, one paw twisted unnaturally beneath the rest. The little creature lifted its head, eyes glossy with panic, letting out a thin, exhausted cry that ripped straight through Sam's chest. He inched closer, hands raised. "Easy, little one," he murmured, though his voice came out barely above a whisper. The cub flinched but didn't attempt to flee. It couldn't. Its back leg was caught, snared in a loop of rusted wire hidden beneath the snow. An old trap. Illegal. Cruel. Sam felt heat rise to his face despite the cold. He hated these traps more than anything else he'd come across in the woods. Painful. Slow. Designed to break an animal long before the hunter ever returned. He knelt beside the cub, careful and slow. The wire had cut deep into the fur and skin. The snow around it was stained with faint streaks of pink. "You've been here a while," he said softly. The cub whimpered again, pressing its head into the snow. Sam slid a gloved hand beneath its side, feeling the frantic quiver of its heartbeat. "I know," he whispered. "I'm going to get you out." He reached into his pack, fingers shaking as he pulled out a multi-tool. The metal was icy against his skin. The wire resisted, biting back with every twist, but Sam kept going, jaw clenched tight, ignoring the cold creeping through his gloves. Finally, with a sharp snap, the loop sprang open. The cub jerked once, gasping a small, startled sound. Sam steadied it with both hands, lowering it gently onto the snow. "You're okay," he breathed, though he wasn't sure if that was true. The leg was injured, swollen. It needed warmth. Shelter. Help. Then a new sound rolled through the trees, low, deep, unmistakable. A rumble, the kind only a mother bear makes when someone touches her child. And it was close. The rumble thickened the air, vibrating through the frozen ground beneath Sam's knees. He didn't move. The cub stiffened, pressing weakly against his leg, as if it too understood what that sound meant. Sam's breath fogged in front of him, slow and unsteady. He kept his hands visible, palms open, every instinct screaming at him not to run. Running meant death. Branches shifted at the tree line. Snow cascaded from a low limb. A shadow moved, large, deliberate, silent. Sam's heartbeat hammered in his ears. He rose slowly to his feet, positioning himself between the threat and the injured cub. Not because he was fearless, but because something in him refused to leave the little creature unprotected. A massive shape stepped into view. The mother bear. Her fur was dark brown, thick with frost, her breath spilling clouds into the cold air. She was bigger than Sam expected, easily over 300 pounds, muscle-wrapped in winter coat, every part of her built for power. But it was her eyes that froze him. Golden, sharp, and filled with panic that burned under the surface. She let out another rumble, deeper this time, warning threaded through every note. Sam lifted his hands higher. "I'm not here to hurt them," he whispered, voice cracking against the cold. "I'm just trying to help." The bear's gaze flicked to the cub, lying in the snow behind him. Her posture shifted, a mix of fear and fierce, desperate protectiveness. She took one heavy step forward. Sam felt the ground vibrate. Another step. Her breath came fast now, almost panting, torn between charging and checking her cub. Sam slowly backed away, giving her space. "Go on," he murmured. "They need you." His voice trembled, but his body stayed steady. He'd spent years in these woods, but never this close to such raw instinct. The mother bear reached the cub, nosing its fur with frantic urgency. The cub whimpered softly, pressing its face in her chest. A sound escaped her, a low, broken chuff, heavy with relief and fear. Sam exhaled for the first time in what felt like minutes. But the danger wasn't gone. The cub's leg was injured badly. Too badly. She couldn't keep wandering with it like this. Not in this cold, not over this terrain. And if predators caught their scent, Sam's jaw tensed. He couldn't just walk away. He took a careful step forward. The bear snapped her head toward him instantly, growling so low the trees seemed to absorb the sound. Sam froze, breath stilled in his throat. "I know," he said softly. "You don't trust me. You shouldn't. But if that leg doesn't get treated," he swallowed. "They won't make it." The bear didn't understand his words, but something in his tone made her pause. Just long enough for Sam to realize something terrifying. Helping them meant getting closer. Closer than any sane man ever should. The bear's pause was brief, just a heartbeat, but it was enough for Sam to feel the shift in the air. Not trust, not acceptance, but something quieter. Confusion. Uncertainty. A mother torn between instinct and desperation. Sam lowered himself slowly, steps deliberate, breath controlled. Every movement mattered. He kept his gaze low, never meeting her eyes directly. "I just want to look," he said softly, though the words were more for himself than her. The mother bear huffed, a tense, warning sound that vibrated through the clearing. She stepped over her cub protectively, her massive body creating a barrier of fur and muscle. But Sam noticed something. Her weight shifted unevenly. She was exhausted, maybe from searching, maybe from fear, maybe from the cold pressing deeper each hour. The cub whimpered again, the sound thin and fading. Sam felt it like a punch in the ribs. "I know," he whispered. "Let me help." He knelt at the edge of the snow, hands open, not moving closer. The cold stung his skin, biting into his fingers, but he didn't dare adjust his gloves. The mother bear's breaths grew harsher, faster. She nudged the cub, urging it to stand. It tried so hard, but its injured leg buckled instantly, sending it collapsing into the snow with a soft cry. The sound broke something inside Sam. A gust of wind passed through the trees, scattering loose snow across the clearing. The mother bear looked up sharply, sniffing the air. Her ears twitched. She sensed something Sam didn't, something distant, something wrong. Predators. Wolves maybe, or another bear. The forest had listened too long. Now it was answering. Sam realized what she was hearing. This wasn't just a wounded cub. It was a beacon. Something dying. Something other creatures would smell from miles away. He had minutes. Maybe less. Sam took a slow breath. "All right," he murmured. "We're doing this now." He reached into his jacket pocket, slowly, carefully, and pulled out a strip of fabric. His old scarf. Frayed at the edges, worn but warm. He held it up so the mother bear could see. Her eyes followed it. Her growl softened. Not approval, but hesitation. Sam inched forward, heart pounding so hard he could feel it in his fingertips. "It's okay," he whispered. "I'm going to wrap the leg. That's all. Just that." She didn't move, didn't charge, didn't retreat. She simply watched. Sam moved closer, so close he could feel her breath brush against the fabric of his coat. The cub lifted its head weakly as he reached out, hands trembling. He wrapped the scarf around the injured leg, securing it tight but gentle. The cub whimpered once, but didn't pull away. Sam exhaled shakily. The mother bear stepped forward, massive head lowering until she was inches from Sam's face. He stopped breathing. She sniffed the scarf, sniffed his hands, then let out a sound he hadn't expected. Not a growl, not a warning. A low, weary exhale. Almost acceptance. Almost. The mother bear's exhale drifted through the cold like a fragile thread of truce. Thin, trembling, but real. Sam didn't move, didn't speak. He let her scent him, her breath warming the frost on his collar as she studied him with eyes that had seen too much winter to be fooled easily. Her muzzle brushed the scarf around the cub's leg. She huffed once, low and questioning. Sam nodded, barely. "It'll hold for now," he whispered. "But we need shelter. Both of you." The bear lifted her head, gaze sweeping the tree line. She smelled what she'd sensed earlier, the presence tightening around them like a noose. Sam could feel it too now. A faint shift in the wind, the distant crunch of snow. Nothing visible yet, but unmistakable. Something was coming. Sam stood slowly, muscles stiff from the cold and tension. "I have a cabin," he murmured. "Not far, just past the ridge." He gestured toward the narrow path barely visible through the trees. "You can make it, if you stay ahead of whatever's tracking us." The mother bear watched him, really watched him. Snow clung to her fur in tiny crystals. Her breath rose in thick clouds. She nudged the cub gently, urging it to its feet. It wobbled, leaning heavily, but it managed a few shaky steps. Sam let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "Okay," he whispered. "We move." He took the lead, though every instinct screamed that walking in front of a stressed, injured bear family was insanity. But the cub limped after him, and the mother followed with slow, deliberate steps, keeping her body angled between the forest and her young. The woods tightened around them as they moved. Wind whispered warnings through the branches. Snow shifted under their feet, the silence deep enough that each breath felt like an intrusion. Sam's cabin lay somewhere beyond the ridge, but the climb was steep and the forest shadows grew thicker with every step. Halfway up the slope, the cub faltered. It let out a small, broken cry and collapsed into the snow. The mother bear immediately dropped beside it, pressing her muzzle into its neck. Sam rushed over, heart pounding. "It's exhausted," he muttered. "Cold's getting to it too fast." He pulled off his coat without thinking, wrapping the cub inside. The mother stiffened, growling once, deep and sharp. Sam held up his free hand. "It's just warmth. Nothing else." She hesitated, but didn't stop him. The forest behind them cracked. A sound too heavy to be the wind. Sam froze. The mother bear lifted her head, ears twitching, body shivering with instinct. Something was climbing the ridge. Something close. Too close. Sam tightened his grip on the cub, breath turning to ice. "We have to move," he whispered. But whatever was following them was already on the trail. The sound came again, closer, heavier, deliberate. Sam felt the vibration through the frozen ground. The mother bear rose fully now, muscles tight, her body forming a shield around the cub wrapped in Sam's coat. Her growl rolled through the trees, low and warning, a sound that belonged to something ancient and unbroken. Sam scanned the ridge below. A shadow moved between the trees. Then another. Wolves. 3 of them, gray, lean, hungry. Their eyes glinted with cold hunger as they crept up the slope, drawn by the scent of blood and weakness. The lead wolf paused, lifting its head, gauging the bear, gauging Sam. Sam's pulse hammered. "We can't outrun them," he whispered. The bear didn't look at him. She didn't need to. Her stance said everything. She would fight, even if it meant dying on this ridge. The first wolf stepped forward. Sam grabbed the only thing he had, a broken branch half buried in snow. Not much, but more than nothing. He planted his feet beside the bear, heart pounding so hard he could barely hear the wind. "Not today," he muttered. The wolves crept closer, shoulders low, breath steaming in the air. The mother bear roared. The sound shook snow from the branches, echoing across the valley like thunder. The wolves hesitated, just long enough for Sam to shout and swing the branch, forcing them back a step. The bear lunged forward, a massive blur of fur and fury. The lead wolf snapped, retreated, snapped again, but she didn't budge. One more roar. This time, the wolves broke. They vanished into the trees as quickly as they'd appeared, shadows swallowed by deeper shadows. Silence returned. Sam's breath shook as he lowered the branch. His hands trembled, not from cold, but from the terrifying clarity that he'd almost died, and the even stranger clarity that something wild had stood beside him to keep him alive. The mother bear turned to him. Her eyes softened, not tame, not grateful, just aware. Knowing. Sam exhaled. Let's get her baby home. He carried the cub the rest of the way, the bear walking beside him until the cabin came into view. Inside, warmth returned. The cub's breathing steadied. The mother's rumble faded into something calm. Hours later, as the storm eased and the first light of morning touched the trees, Sam realized something. They hadn't just survived together. They'd chosen each other, if only for a moment in the endless wild. And sometimes, a moment is enough.